Hey there, Michelle. How are you today?
I'm good, Lindsay. How are you?
Good, Michelle. I have a question. I think I know the answer, but I'm going
Okay.
to ask anyway. Maybe you'll surprise me. Who knows?
I don't think I will.
Michelle, are you an emotional person? I bet our listeners could answer this too.
I am an emotional person. I definitely I mean, I'm not to a regular degree, but I'm definitely
Right.
on the more emotional side.
Yeah.
What about you, Lindsay?
Yeah, I would say I am for sure. I mean, over the years, I've learned how to kind of, I don't know, maybe distract myself sometimes
Yeah.
from emotions. But definitely I am an emotional person at my core.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Same.
Yeah,
I feel like that's one of the reasons you and I get along so well.
probably.
I think we both feel things very deeply, I think.
I'll feel all the feels, as they say,
All the
right?
feels, that's right. Oh my gosh, that's another good one. So yeah, well, we're talking about this today because we have a listener question from Rama 900. Lindsay, would you like us? Like
Yes.
me, myself, and I. Would you like
Would
for
you
me to
like
read the
to read the
question?
would you like to read it? Sure, Michelle. Yeah, go for it. Go for it. Yeah. Let's do
Sure.
it.
So it says, this comes from a review. It looks like a 5-star review. So thank you so
Yes.
much.
Thank you.
So it says, I like listening to your podcast. It's like treatment after a long day.
Aw,
That's
that's
really nice.
wonderful. Yeah.
I have a question for you. What's the difference between emotion and feeling? Ooh,
Mm.
I searched and asked AI, but I feel more confused. Can you explain and clarify the differences? Thank you in advance, Rama 900. Yeah. Ooh, this is a good
Yes.
one.
I love this question, and I totally understand that Rama tried to search on AI. We're all using AI these days, but it really just kicks back what you would find on Google, right? And so,
Exactly.
so we're here
It's
to
true.
show you in context to really break this down for you, Rama, and for all the rest of our listeners. But Michelle, first, what should our listeners do right now? What is the single action we want them to do before we continue with the show?
All right, guys, we want you to hit the follow button wherever you are listening to the All Ears English podcast because we don't want you to miss any episode. We want to make it easy so you remember to listen, you have it come straight to
Yes.
your queue, all the good stuff.
So important. And of course, if you're watching in YouTube, which this show is on video in YouTube, hit the subscribe button in your case. Excellent. Michelle, let's get into answering this question
Yeah.
directly for Rama. Emotion
Yeah.
versus feeling. What do we think?
Okay. So, yeah, this is, I mean, Lindsay, do you have kind of a first instinct of
Yeah.
how you would explain this?
Yeah. Emotions feel a little more raw and more
Yeah.
initial. It's like the
Yeah.
spark.
Yeah.
And then the feeling, maybe kind of like the after effect, sort of the more
Right.
refined when we're kind of explaining. Yeah, but emotions feel more raw to me. What do you think,
Right,
Michelle?
more raw. Yeah, yeah, I agree. I mean, so I was taking a look and I saw on this counselingcentergroup.com,
Yeah.
yeah, it does explain it. It says kind of the emotions are what happened initially, and the
Ah,
feelings are, as they describe it, the afterglow. So,
interesting.
kind of, they explain that emotions are kind of, like you said, more raw and maybe it happens right away. And then this is interesting. It says feelings are how we process and interpret these emotional reactions
Ah,
on a conscious level.
yes.
So it says, you could like the emotion it explains is kind of like that physical feeling. So it mentions a racing heart.
Okay.
Um, and
Mm-hmm.
then how you process it is the feeling. So feeling, okay, now I'm feeling scared. So
Yes.
it's I mean, this is very kind of convoluted. So, but this is again
Yeah.
from counselingcentergroup.com.
Yeah.
So, I mean, in some ways that makes sense to me, right?
Yeah.
Emotion, like you said, is more raw.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
feelings can, to me, be a little bit more general. I'm feeling happy. I'm feeling sad.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
How
would
do
also
you?
think that I think another difference is that feelings are a bit more of a less articulate word. So if you're talking to a child about
Mm,
their feelings, you probably wouldn't say, "Tell me about your emotions," right? To a kid,
right.
it's
Right.
a more feelings are kind of the word is a bit more basic, if that makes
Yeah.
sense. Don't you think?
Yeah. Yes, I
Mhm.
think so. Yes, definitely. I mean, I'm also think of when you're watching something and or let's say somebody's about to give a speech, right? About
Yes.
like a wedding or
Okay.
something, and something kind of a high intensity, lots of
Yes.
feelings. They might say, "Oh, I'm getting emotional. Sorry."
Oh,
Right? They
yeah.
wouldn't say, "I'm
Well,
feeling."
there
I mean, you can say, "I'm feeling emotional."
yeah, there is no adjective that goes along with feelings in the
Feeling.
way that emotional
True.
works. You're
That's
right.
interesting.
That is
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay, this is, we're kind of talking more about like from that site that I read from, that's a little bit more scientific. So,
Mhm.
they're not the same, but they are similar. But
Yes.
this is one of those situations. Do you think it's helpful for our listeners to be sitting there thinking about which is the difference, and when they're trying to connect with someone, to be getting nervous about which one they should use? Do you think that's the
That
best
is
use of our time?
absolutely not, Michelle, and I'm
Yeah.
glad you asked that question, especially because here at
Yeah.
All Ears English, we're all about connection, and when the words emotion and feeling are coming out around the scenario, you should be connecting with someone probably, right?
Right.
Instead of sitting there and thinking, "Which word should I use?" I know that our listeners sometimes one of the biggest challenges is second guessing yourself, but when emotions
Mhm.
are raw and there's been something that's happened that is good or bad, we wanna be there
Mhm.
for the person, right? We don't wanna be in
Mhm.
our head in this cerebral
Yeah,
mode.
right. Right.
Yeah. Mhm.
Exactly. So today we're going to go over, how can we actually use this? How
Yeah.
can we actually apply this? And what are some expressions, some common expressions that are really how we use these words, and how
Yes.
can we apply them to our conversations to connect with people, to maybe comfort them, to share how we are feeling.
Yeah, and just
Yeah,
to
that's
kind of articulate exactly to articulate how we're feeling. That's kind of the mark of a mature adult who can someone that can articulate how they're feeling, right? And relate to
yeah.
others around that feeling, right?
Right, right, right. Actually, that's interesting. So, yeah, if you think about it, emotion, it can't be a verb.
No.
Feeling, I am feeling
Mhm.
sad, right?
And
So, like,
feeling can't be an adjective,
you can't
right?
say,
Yeah.
you can't, right. So, you can't say, I am emotioning.
No. That would be kinda cool though. Maybe we should make
I'm
that up
emotion.
and start
I
that
kind
word.
of like it. Oh, I'm
Let's make
emotioning
that
right
word
now.
go yeah, let's make that word trend, as they
Yeah.
say.
Yeah, I like it. So interesting. Okay, so let's get started on these. I mean, again, basically, emotions are a little more formal, feelings are less formal, a little more conversational, but let's go through with some of these idioms, these chunks. Lindsay, what's the first
Yes.
one?
Oh, I just one thing, Michelle, I
Yeah.
just realized you can say emoting, right? And I guess this is when I look up what this
Emoting.
means,
True.
portray an emotion in a theatrical manner. Now, this is a word I don't really use very much, but I have seen it around. But I think
Right.
maybe this is more dramatic, the use of that word,
Yeah. It's
right?
it's it, I think so too, and I also think that it's not quite the same thing as
Yeah.
like if we want to say I'm emotioning, like you
No.
wouldn't say like I'm emotioning sad, right?
Yeah. No, no, no. It's not the same.
Or
So
or
this is
I'm emoting. You still wouldn't even say I'm emoting
you
this.
really
Like it's
wouldn't. That would be weird, right? It's not
so there
real.
is that word
Yeah.
emoting for sure, and that's a very good point to bring up. But
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah.
still feels a little different, right?
Feels a little different. Yeah. Let's go through this. So I love the expression mixed
Yeah,
emotions,
me
right?
too.
So for example, I used to love that restaurant, but now I have mixed emotions. Things have changed recently. Yeah. So here we're getting our emotions involved when it comes to our opinion of a restaurant. So it must be something we feel pretty strongly about, right?
Right. Yes. Yes, exactly. So mixed emotions. Or here's another one. Oh wait, that was sorry. Oh. Okay. So
Oh,
then there's just emotional,
yes.
right? So for
Emotional. Mhm.
yes. So for example, in the last month of my pregnancy, my hormones made me super emotional.
So it just means you're up and down and feeling things very strongly. Maybe you're like really
Right.
excited and then you're really sad. And just a flip of the a switch, right?
Yes,
With the hormones.
exactly. Or
Yeah.
this one is very common, Lindsay. What is the next one?
Oh, emotional roller coaster. So, being friends with you is an emotional roller coaster. Oh my gosh, that's not good. There are people, right? I'm sure we can think of people in our lives we've known that kind of, there's always drama, right? There's
Yes.
always drama up and down, and it
Right.
is an emotional roller coaster.
What
Yeah.
does that mean? I mean, an emotional
I
role. I
mean,
mean, you kind of said it already, but
yeah,
yeah.
if we think of the way a roller coaster goes, it goes up and down, it goes around. Just the emotions are not stable, right? They're
Right.
always feeling good and then feeling bad, and it can be hard to be around that sometimes, right?
Yeah,
Those extreme
definitely.
swings. Yeah. Mhm.
This is a very, very common expression, and
Mhm.
it can be used again, and these don't need to be used for extreme situation. These can be used also just for your basic. Oh, today was a little bit of an emotional roller coaster.
Yeah.
I messed something up at work, and then it
Mhm.
doesn't have to be like so extreme.
Right. Right. It's
So these are really common. I don't want you to think that these are only reserved for something tragic, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. If it's a roller coaster for you, then you can use that, right? Depending on what
Mhm.
happens. A roller
Mhm.
coaster for someone might not be a roller coaster for someone else, depending on what's actually happened, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes, good point.
Interesting. All right, Michelle. So let's go over to feelings. The word feelings,
Yes.
this could be a noun or a verb, right?
Right, right.
Mm-hmm.
So you could say I have a good feeling or I have a bad feeling about something. So you could, a something feeling, a bad feeling, a good feeling, a funny feeling, a weird feeling, a strange feeling, right? Um
Yeah. And
yeah,
it's a trademark phrase, Michelle. I feel funny.
I
Right.
know. I was just thinking about that. I feel funny. That's my trademark. But yeah, I mean, so what does that mean to say I have a good feeling about something?
Well, it depends. So if I'm saying I have a bad feeling in my neck, it just means I have probably some pain or
Actually
like a
hurts.
knot, right? But I have a good feeling about X. Like I have a good feeling that I'll get the job. It's kind of like you have a hunch. You have a
A
hunch.
hunch.
Hmm.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. It
I like
feels
that.
like there's something in the air where there's signs everywhere that something good is going to happen. Auspicious, I
Yeah.
think, is the word, right? Yeah.
Yeah. And then, just to go back to emotion, you wouldn't say I have like a bad emotion in my neck, right? That's another point that we can make is a feeling is the only one out of those two that you can use for something physical, right?
Yes, 100% for sure. We do not want to say I have a bad emotion in my neck. That would be weird. Um, all right, next one. Feeling okay, feeling fine. I'm feeling
Uh-huh.
okay, but I need more rest tonight. People are checking in
Right.
on you. How are you doing? Often we're just we're okay, or we don't quite know how we are. I think honestly, in at least in American culture, I don't know that we're really taught to know how we're feeling all the time. I know that emotions can really reverberate throughout the body. And well, at least I'll speak for myself. I don't know if I really learned the skills of understanding
Mm.
like how feelings were affecting my body. Does that make
Yeah.
sense? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
Hmm.
I mean, you realize all the time when you do some sort of relaxation or whatever. And they say, "Oh, unclench your jaw."
Oh,
And you think of
yes.
those things and you realize, "Oh my gosh, I was holding everything," right?
Or another embarrassing example for me is a couple of years ago when I was coming back from Egypt, I got a massage in the Frankfurt airport, right? You know how airport massages in the chair?
Yeah.
So I had been really stressed out before I went on the trip, and I sat down in the massage chair and I started bawling, like
Oh.
crying like crazy. It was uncontrollable crying, Michelle, like worse than I've
Oh.
cried in a long time. And then I couldn't stop. Like I had to stop the massage, pay the money, and then I continued to cry. It was
Oh
incredible.
my
So like
gosh.
all this
It was
emotion
like
was
such a
being
release.
held. Yeah, it was so weird.
Oh,
So this is
wow.
and this might be cultural. I think probably other cultures do a better job of,
It's
I
really
don't know,
interesting.
listening to their bodies or giving their bodies space for emotions to flow through. But I know for me, I didn't really learn that growing up. Yeah.
Interesting. So after that happened, like,
Mhm.
did you feel like a weight was lifted, or how did that
I
help
get
you?
Yeah, I think I felt a weight lifted. Yeah, I would say I
Like a
felt better,
release?
but it took a while. I definitely cried in the airport for another half hour after I was
Oh,
gone
Lindsay.
from the from the massage parlor. Yeah, so very weird, right? But not weird, normal, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's true. Like, yeah, I always notice it when, I watch, like, I don't know, there's even this guy on Instagram that will say, "Oh, relax this part of your face." And they
Mhm.
say, "Oh, I think it's a lot in the jaw."
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, there's like a lot of like, or are you clenching your teeth constantly throughout the
Oh.
day when you don't even realize, right?
Or your shoulders. I know a lot of people hold a lot of
Shoulders.
emotion in their shoulders. They clench all day long. So, oh boy, Michelle, that's another episode
We're
for another
getting, yeah, we're
day.
really
But
good getting into it.
what
So
else?
all right. Another one is just to hurt someone's feelings, right?
Yes.
You don't really hurt someone's emotions, right?
Mhm.
You would say he hurt my feelings when he told me my bag was ugly. Uh-oh.
Yeah, and with this one, I would give a little caveat. It's a little bit of a younger kind of
Yes.
phrase, right? So I
Yes.
wouldn't say like, "Oh, my boss hurt my feelings," right? Like to my coworker, that's a little young. It's something you would say to a kid. Did you hurt your
Yeah.
brother's feelings, right?
Yes. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Good point. And then the last one is a gut feeling, right?
Yes.
So that's your like your special superpower, your like
Yes.
I have an idea, like something's telling me in my body.
Yes, we've talked about this on the show before. Some people are really good, with their gut. They can just feel that something's going to happen or have a feeling about a person, right?
Mhm.
That's a good one. So
Yeah, so oh,
what are
wait,
our
sorry,
final
one example with that is my
Oh
gut
yeah.
feelings are usually right. He's a bad guy. So yeah,
And maybe you
anyone.
find that out later, right? Maybe it's something
Yeah.
you couldn't put your finger on. That's a good expression for today. But
Yes.
then, a year later, you realize why you didn't like your friend's boyfriend, right? He did something that wasn't
Yes.
obvious in the beginning. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So yeah, basically what it boils down to is feelings are kind of less formal. I would say in general, they're kind of used like that word is thrown out a little bit more frequently.
Yep.
It's
Mhm.
it's a little bit more casual and common.
Yeah.
Emotions are a little bit more raw. And then
Yes.
so I would say that's one. And then also to think of those idioms, those collocations, don't worry so much about the science. Think about how it's actually used in conversations and throw those out there.
I love that, Michelle. Well said. Let's get into a quick role play. Do we have a few minutes for this?
Yes, let's do it. So we're going to use several of these in here. So here we are, friends, and I am venting to Lindsay about my living situation.
All right, here we go. So, do you like it there?
Eh, mixed emotions.
Really? I have a feeling that you'll change your mind. It's only been a month.
That's true, but it's been an emotional roller coaster with my roommate.
Oh, no, really?
Yeah, I just have a gut feeling that this isn't going to work. I think I hurt her feelings when I told her I wasn't open to a housewarming party.
Oh, no.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about our feelings with our friends, right?
Mhm.
Maybe women do it more than men. I don't know. I don't know. But definitely we talk about how we're experiencing things in real time by using words like emotions and feelings. So
Yeah.
I asked you how you like it at your new living situation. You said, mixed emotions. You didn't say I
Mhm.
have mixed emotions. You said,
Yeah, that's
mixed
true. You can just do
emotions.
it.
Mhm.
You said, "Really? I have a feeling that you'll change your mind." So you're saying, "I have a hunch,
Yeah.
it's gonna be
Mhm.
okay."
Yes, and then you said, "That's true, but it's been an emotional roller coaster with my roommate." Yeah, very common response when someone you've gone through a lot with a person already.
Yeah, and then I said, "I just have a gut feeling this isn't gonna work."
Sometimes you can know. You can know when things are
Mhm.
not going to line up between you and another person. And you said, "I think I hurt her feelings when I told her I wasn't open to a housewarming party." Yeah.
Maybe I should
Ooh,
lighten up and maybe I don't know.
yeah. I don't know. Sometimes you're just not
Maybe
a match, for
that's true.
roommates or friends or partners. It's just like not working,
I've had
emotionally.
that with roommates. Yeah, it's okay.
Sure.
It
It's
happens.
okay. Yeah, me too. I had a lot of roommates in New York and many of them were not a great match. So,
Yeah. Yeah,
Michelle, what's
exactly.
another episode we could go to?
All right, guys, check out episode 2437. That was Are You Good Cop or Bad Cop? That was a really fun one. I think I did that one with Aubrey. So listen to that.
I love it. Any final takeaway here, Michelle?
Yeah, this is one of those episodes where we can dive in and get all into the science of what the difference is, but really it's about the context and how are we going to use it.
Mhm.
So I would say that is the biggest thing to take away from here. We gave you some basic guidelines of parts of speech and this and that, but really, it comes down to how do we use it? And this is also really important for connections. So if you're getting bogged down in your head in this moment and getting all stressed out about
Yeah.
it, it could break the connection. So let's focus on learning some of these actual expressions, these idioms. These are what are really going to help you.
Yeah, this is life. This is being a human being living and breathing, right? This experiencing emotions. And so if you
Mhm.
are in your head, don't be in your head for these moments
Right.
because someone might need
Right.
you, right?
Right.
Maybe there's been some kind of event and they need you with them, not standing outside of the group thinking, am I going to use the right word? Okay.
Right.
Super important. Yeah.
Right. Because if you think of it, just one more point, like in the end, like, even the rules we gave, like, they don't always work. Like, for example, mixed emotions, we're saying that emotions are more raw.
Mhm.
Mixed emotions, that's pretty
Yeah.
conversational. You know what I mean? So it
Yeah.
doesn't always, not everything fits into a bucket.
Yeah.
And so let's, don't, I wouldn't analyze too much or get too worried about it. But
I love it.
yeah,
And always just come back to connection. Where is the
that's right.
connection in that moment? Right. I love it. So good, Michelle. Great chat today about emotions and feelings.
Yes.
And I will see you next time. All
All
right.
right. Bye, Lindsay. Bye, guys.
Bye. Bye.